The Redmi Note 7 Pro has a flagship sensor, one that we've seen almost every manufacturer use on their phones, the 48 megapixel Sony IMX 586. It's excellent, and with the Redmi Note 8 Pro, Redmi switched to Samsung's Isocell Bright GW1, a 64 megapixel sensor. Now, is this a good move? Do more megapixels mean better pictures? Let's find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see, please turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. Now both phones have multi-camera setups. 2 on the Note 7 Pro, 4 on the Note 8 Pro. But let's focus on the primaries for now. Let's start with the shot. I usually shoot this flower a lot. I like the bokeh or background blurring a little bit more on the Note 8 Pro, but that's it. The colors are better with the Note 7 Pro. The image is a little more contrasty, if that's a word. Zoom in and you see there's more detail too. Like the petal, it's more smoothed out on the image shot by the Note 8 Pro. Now, looking at this, my first thought was maybe my hand kind of shook a little when I took the shot, but that wasn't the case. Here's another one, again a flower, and the picture, it's a little more saturated with the 7 Pro. Just look at the yellow at the center. It's more punchy, it's got that contrast. I'd actually say it's closer to reality. It's not like the Note 7 Pro was being unreal here. It's more a case of the Note 8 Pro being slightly washed out. As you can see, even with these water droplets, they're better visible with the Note 7 Pro. And the detail again, the 7 Pro outdoes the 8 Pro quite comfortably. Okay, maybe the Samsung sensor, it has something against flowers, so let's go for a wider shot. This is one of the road, and if you notice here, the dynamic range, it's again an area where the Note 7 Pro edges ahead. The sky, it's pretty similar, so almost equal detail in the bright areas, the highlights. The 8 Pro might have had a tad more detail in the clouds to the right there, but look straight, that gate there, the 7 Pro has more detail. The pot to the left or below the trees to the right, it just has way more detail in the shadows. Now, dynamic range is the range of data between the brightest and darkest areas that can be captured by the sensor. And as you can see here, the Note 7 Pro does seem to have an edge with that too. So, what happens when we switch to higher resolutions? 48 megapixels versus 64 megapixels, because that's the selling point, right? High resolution sensors. By default, these cameras shoot 12 and 16 megapixels respectively, and that's what we've been seeing so far. Now, does the Note 8 Pro do markedly better here given the extra megapixels? Surprisingly not. The Note 7 Pro's 48 megapixel IMX 586 manages to hold on to its lead. Megapixels do not seem to tell the whole story, do they? Here's another example. This time the 8 Pro blows out the sky, but it does do better with detail. Yes, it does. Like here, the reflection on the glass, the paint buckets on the inside, the texture on the wall, and even the detail in the shadows. But then again, the noise also happens to be higher. Overall, in this mode, the details are more or less similar. It's not a noticeable advantage to either camera. So the main area of difference, it's gotta be low light. So let's move on to that next. Both phones, of course, given that they have the same software, it's MIUI, same camera processing, there is a dedicated night mode there. So under low light, the GW1, it seems to put up a better fight. The Note 7 Pro still reigns supreme, at least for me. Look at the wall here, there's less flaring with the Note 8 Pro, so that's a positive definitely. But look at the texture on this road, or in this case the logo of the car. Let's actually punch in. This is a very good example. See the difference? Well, it's not this drastic always. The Note 7 Pro does seem to do better with low light shots. Now remember, the Note 7 Pro has a Snapdragon chip, so it has Gcam support already. The 8 Pro doesn't, at least as of now. Now, one final image, this sums up everything quite nicely. The lower noise on the Note 7 Pro, the Note 7 Pro goes a little greenish, while the 8 Pro goes a little purplish, so nothing there. But notice the difference in the flare. So what does this mean? Is the Note 7 Pro still better? Well, yes, as of now at least, for the primary camera. But remember, the 8 Pro has a larger sensor, 1 by 1.72 inches if I can recall correctly, compared to a half-inch sensor on the Note 7 Pro. So technically it can do better, maybe with software updates, or maybe not. The fact that there are so many pixels so close together might also be working against it. Only time will tell if Redmi can improve that performance. That said, that's not the only camera there is, right? There's a depth sensor on both, 5 megapixels on the 7 Pro, 2 megapixels on the 8 Pro. Despite the lower resolution sensor, the portrait performance, it's better with the 8 Pro. As you can see, it gets colors and exposure better. It also has an option to control the bokeh. And then there's an ultra-wide 8 megapixel on the 8 Pro. The Note 7 Pro has no answer to this one. And there's also a 2 megapixel macro sensor that makes for unique shots like this one. I really like the implementation. It lets you kind of get really close to your subject. It's quite heartening to see Redmi even allow video shooting via both the macro and wide sensors. Talking about video, we can shoot it up to 4K 30 FPS via both these. The quality is similar, but the dynamic range is again better with the Note 7 Pro. The Note 8 Pro's footage is a bit warmer, which personally I preferred. At 1080-30, electronic image stabilization kicked in, and here's where the 8 Pro, it was a little more stable, but that did come at a cost. The cost being detail. It seemed to crop in a little more aggressively for stabilization, and that meant it was upscaling more. Like if I freeze the frame here, you can see how much crisper the footage is on the 7 Pro. Also, the 8 Pro is more sensitive. It changes exposure quicker. It feels more finicky that way. Whereas the 7 Pro, as you can see, let me play this back for you one more time. It's more stable. Now let's move on to selfies. Now this is one area where the Note 8 Pro gets a comprehensive upgrade. The 20 megapixel f2 on it does better all around. Whether it's colors or detail or even with portraits, it outdoes the Note 7 Pro's 13 megapixel f2 shooter. So finally we get to the C4E blind test. You know, there's a lot that I can say, but do you agree with what I just said? Or is your bias clouding your eyes? So let's put that to a test. 3 sets of images. I'm gonna want you to try to guess which one was shot with the Redmi Note 8 Pro. So guess which was the Note 8 Pro. And let's see if you can get that right. No peeking. Here goes. The first set, A or B. What's the Redmi Note 8 Pro? Set number 2, A or B. And here's set number 3. Alright, here's time for the reveal. The first set, it was B, and then it was B again, and finally it was A. So did you get that right? Let me know in the comments below. So guys, what do we have here? From a camera perspective, the Note 8 Pro, it's just launched. So like I said, as of now, the Note 7 Pro, its primary camera is better, but remember when the Note 7 Pro launched, it had its own sets of issues. It had horrible lag in the camera interface. It even months after launch, it had that issue, but Redmi did eventually fix it. So maybe the Note 8 Pro's performance can improve with future updates, but it does have the portrait mode, ultra wide and macro options going for it already, and it even does better with selfies, so it's got that going for it too. And the primary is not too bad. It's just that the Note 7 Pro had extremely powerful hardware. So overall, if you own a Note 7 Pro, hold your head high, your phone still rocks. But if you're looking to buy a Note 8 Pro, well, it's got new tricks, new sensors. The primary, while not as good as its predecessor right now, it's still good. So that's pretty much it for this camera comparison video. Hope you found it interesting. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, or if you didn't, vote it down. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.